Hey YouTube, what's going on? Mark here. Happy Wednesday night to all. And on the eve of day 2 of the 2024 warm weather finale, that I apologize for that. It was supposed to happen yesterday, and I was supposed to call my girlfriend for her Ricky Craven 32nd birthday yesterday once I got back, and my phone was 100% charged, but I wanted to chill for a little bit, and unfortunately I've been making a bad habit of that lately. Usually I'm like ready out and about getting mini chores done, sometimes shaving before I go out, which I took care of today, as you saw. I took care of that before I went out in mid to upper 60-degree weather off camera. And usually I'm like making sure I get like all the going number 1 and number 2 out of my system. That way I don't have to worry about it in the middle of my adventure outside. And then I make sure I'm all set like Jimmy Johnson, got my phone 100% battery, or at least somewhere in the lower to mid 90s as far as battery percentage goes. And then we make it out. However, I got a little too comfortable catching up on my YouTube fix, which I'm way behind on again. But usually I do a pretty good job catching up on that, even if it takes a while and there's too much to go through. So I got too comfortable, fell asleep. I fell asleep on enough because my mom kept waking me up, asking me to do this and do that and all that other bullshit. But I didn't really wake up for good until late last night. I don't fucking remember, but anyway, tomorrow would have been the fall randomness video, but that's going to be rescheduled to a later date. The next time we have a somewhat semi-nice day, if for October standards, so Adventures in Autumn. And I say what was I going to say? I have to figure out when the early autumn, we're going to rename the Autumn Pathway to Health to Autumn Pathway to something. I'll have to figure out a rename, because it can't be health forever, because I'm feeling my ear and sinus infection is gone, so we have to rename this campaign. We could keep the early autumn pathway to part, but we have to change the word health to something else. But I'll figure it out. I'll have to decide when it's going to end. I mean, it has to end at some point, right? It has to, as early as next weekend. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll circle back. But now the elephant in the room, this is going to be a rant-heavy video, and it's a Spurs video, as you can tell by the wardrobe. The Tim Duncan jersey, t-shirt. Let me see here. The shorts, Spurs shorts. I don't know if you could see. Hold on. Yeah, you can't see very well. Yep, Spurs shorts, the generic shorts that I used to wear with the jersey on Sandhurst, but wouldn't be a Spurs video, including a rant video. This is gonna be extra spicy, so you've been warned like what button. So let's get a Spurs hat to put on. Let's get the Tim Duncan hat. This is a special. All right, so yeah, we're all set like Jimmy Johnson. So we'll start off the mellow stuff first. So therefore, it was reported earlier this week that Devin Vassell, aka Young Devo, as the carryover from his injury at the end of last season, Wembanyama's rookie season, that he's expected to miss the very beginning of the season, and we're lucky that it's only a minimum of 5 games, so that's nothing compared to DeJounte at the beginning of the 18-19 season, when Parker left in his final year to go play in Charlotte, and we sadly could not get his jersey in the rafters to say 2001 to 19, like Ginobili with 2002 to 18, Duncan 1997 to 16, because that would have been cool in variety. But like I always say, unfortunately, we can't have nice things. But hey, sometimes just the way life goes. Players and athletes don't give a shit about the fans half the time, no matter how big of fans people are of them or the team they are assigned to in basketball playing or NASCAR racing for. They just care about that money or care about how they feel putting in a position where they feel uncomfortable, and even if they've been dedicated to that team or the same people for their whole career, Parker with the Spurs and Pop and everything. So therefore, the whole leadership thing that Pop wanted Parker to do, and wanting to come off the bench for DeJounte, who took his job as starting point guard, and even Murray admitted it in his podcast. If Parker had liked that, which he didn't, he would have stayed and mentored him better coming off the bench, and Bryn Forbes would not have been as garbage as he turned out to be. as like the one we saw, outside of the 2019 playoffs, and when he played amazing in DeJounte's place, and so that was my mom closing her bedroom door. I'm sorry about that, but playing in DeJounte's place. That's why one day, if I'm lucky to touch my PS4, the servers for this game are still up. I want to do an NBA Live 19 what if scenario where I update all the rosters to what the final rosters of the 18-19 season, going up to the last game of the 2019 NBA Finals between the Raptors and Warriors. But I make a few adjustments. Parker stays on the Spurs, and actually we make up a story where he actually accepts the leadership and mentor role to help Murray and Forbes develop, into better players. Murray's developed into a star of his own at the Hawks. So therefore, my dad's texting me, hold the fuck up.
What is Kenyon Martin doing? Rose throws it over Mutombo. Malik Rose is the guy, along with Tim Duncan, who has put San Antonio back in front. This one, hard to believe. Down Malik.
Sorry about that, everyone. Don't you hate it when you're recording a video, talking into the camera, like your phone or whatever, and you hear doors close behind you, or if you're recording off your phone, it's a pain in the ass sometimes when you get a push notification on social media or a text message from somebody in your life, and it just throws you off your game, and slows down your momentum and fucks up your rhythm. So yeah, that's just part of being a YouTuber, recording most of your videos on your phone because if I'm not having superior equipment. Where was I? Oh, okay. So NBA Live 19. So I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent. I mean, I'll have to make this tangent as fast as possible. Murray, in NBA Live 19 does not get hurt in the preseason. He starts come off on point guard. Parker and Forbes come off the bench, where Parker, mentors Murray and Forbes. Where even without Parker's help, Murray already blossomed into a star of his own in Atlanta. And Forbes probably would have been a lot better player than he actually turned out to be had Parker stayed that last year to mentor him. And he wouldn't have been as bad as he turned out to be outside of the 2019 playoffs. And a few good games he had, but a few good games do not define a player who you can admit is plays for your favorite team, but you can also have the right to acknowledge the fact when they're asked, they're asked. That's what Forbes was. I mean, some of these lemmings, even Spurs fans that not just NBA fans in general, but Spurs fans alone were cluelessly defending him like he was the second coming of Jesus when he did indeed suck. I mean. And you want to come up with excuses like, oh, but, inconsistency is part of the game and stuff like that. Well, yeah, you're right. Inconsistency is one thing, but being complete garbage as a player, consistently night in and night out, is a whole nother thing. And that's exactly what Forbes was. That's exactly what the second version of Marco was, because you're making excuses for Marco, but he contributed to a championship-winning team. Well, the first version did, but you're using that to defend the second version of Marco, who actually did indeed suck. That's why I could not stand that second version at all. And, they were taking up, rookie Keldon and sophomore year Lonnie's minutes that they and even Damari Carroll, a journeyman veteran who deserved all those minutes more than they did. Don't even get me started on the king of shitting it up, that Tiago Splitter imposter, or the king of pissing it up, shitbangs, who basically took Danny Green's secondary college number. I mean, Danny Green, I highly doubt will retire his jersey, but that's what we're going to get into in a little bit. But this NBA Live 19 universe would be Parker staying on the Spurs, coming off the bench behind Murray, and with he and Forbes backing up Murray, but Parker mentors them, and then 2018-19 Spurs team wins more games than they did in real life, does a hell of a lot better than they did in real life, and they at least get to the second round. So in this universe, in this what if series, let's play, we don't have to win the championship. We do not have to do that. Just let it play out organically. Don't try to hack the system or cheese the game or rig the gameplay to try to win the Spurs the championship. So if they don't win it, they don't win it. So. But I have a feeling they would have been a lot better if this happened for real. So if you get past the first round, it's an automatic win, like we won the championship or something. But Yeah, but like Murray said in his podcast, if Parker had this in real life, like he was gonna, like he would in my NBA Live 19 What If series, he would have stayed and mentored Murray and Forbes, but he didn't like it. That's why he left to play in his final year. I mean, he could have went anywhere else, but Charlotte of all places, the only one of the big three between him, Duncan, and Ginobili to not make the playoffs at least once. Ginobili and Duncan made it all in their whole career because they stayed with the team that drafted him the whole career. Parker could have been the last one last in San in 2019, but until we get to the NBA Live 19 Spurs What If series with Parker, we'll never know. But yeah, the elephant in the room. This is where it starts to get ranty. Luckily, not nuclear levels, but close to that. So, therefore, we all know Spurs greats Malik Rose, Matt Bonner, Patty Mills, number 31, 15, and 8. They all contributed to championship-winning teams in San Antonio over the years. Malik from 1997 to 2005, even though he missed the third ring by a few months. Bonner from 2006 to 2016 won 2 rings with the Spurs. 07 and 2014 almost had a third in 2013. If Ginobili and the Fraud made their free throws in Game 6, and either Boris had boxed out on that last offensive Heat possession, or Pop never had left Duncan in the game and not had Boris in there instead in his place. Mills could have had. Mills won 1 in 2014, but could have had 2. And don't forget Rose's 2 rings came with the 1999 Spurs. In the Alamo Dome when I lived on West 122nd as a 5-year-old, my first year liking this guy right here when this iconic masterpiece came out. And look, 25 years later, this is how long I've had it. The whole time it's been out. It still works, but the case is all bent up and shit. And this is the North American release I remember the most that did have Cup of Life and Maria on it. But the other one I got in Mexico, even though I don't have the copy I had in Mexico because I was a salty 7 to 8-year-old that was upset that Cup of Life and Maria wasn't on there. And it just would have been a duplicate, a Latin American, European duplicate of American. It just would have been the same one, but in a different language. This is a much cleaner copy, but now that I'm older, I don't care now, and I understand the difference between American release and foreign releases. This one had La Diosa del Carnaval, the Spanish version of the second track Spanishized on it, and I'm on my way and in place of previous hits, La Copa de la Vida from Vuelve, and Maria, Un, Dos, Tres from Medio VV. So this Rose was a huge part of that 1999 championship when that Ricky Martin was hot and popular and Livin' La Vida Loca was mainstream. And then he was part of that magical 2003 run where Duncan carried a team of nobodies to the Spurs' second ring. Back, when Robinson was on his last legs, washed up in his last year with leftover injuries from the previous season's playoff game 1, round 1 versus Seattle, which Seattle's going to get used in an analogy about this little topic here. Parker was a second-year player just getting his feet wet. Only Spurs fans knew who he was. Only a few NBA fans and sports fans knew who he was. Ginobili was a rookie who was playing 3 years after he was drafted, or at least first playing 3 years after he was drafted, after we won that 99 championship. And nobody but Spurs fans and foreign fans foreign basketball fans knew who he was. Not every single player on that team was all that. Steven Jackson and Bruce Bowen were decent, but they were not all-star caliber players. Robinson was no longer the dominant force he once was in the 90s before Duncan was there. Parker and Ginobili had not turned into the players they turned out to be yet. Malik Rose was the versatile, backup to Tim, stuff like that. So, therefore, and, those three had a huge impact on our team to the point where, they should have the jerseys retired in the rafters, but no. Brian Wright and Pop in the front office don't want to get their heads out of their asses and refrain from these imposters from taking their number. And I count Aldridge too because, I'm holding him accountable. I know Bruce Bowen gave him his blessing to carry the number 12 from Portland to San Antonio, but keep in mind, we retired that number for Bowen because much like Bonner, Mills, and Rose should have their numbers retired, but they don't because Brian Wright and Pop in the front office half the time don't know what the fuck they're doing. they retired Bowen's number because they realized how much of an impact he had on the team and how long he was there. He became the player who he eventually became out to be, as we know to this day, in San Antonio, more than they did the previous teams where he hopped around and stuff. That's where he retired his 12 out of respect, and he won 3 championships with us. That 03 championship, the 2005 championship, the 2007 championship. But it really pissed me off to even back then. But I really didn't say anything, and I do want to make that my main focus. I wanted to focus on getting a 6th ring before Duncan retired and making Duncan a 6-time champion and all that stuff. But Aldridge did not have that same dog in him in San Antonio like he did in Portland. That's why I don't give him credit for all the contributions he did, because he didn't have that same fire like he did in Portland. He only had half of it, and he didn't win a fucking championship because of a big championship to go with it. So it doesn't really mean anything for me to be a huge contribution to the Silver and Black if you didn't win fucking shit. Even though you could have, and to be fair, that wasn't your fault, but that's neither here or there. But still, either way, even if he would have won a championship, there's no way in hell he should have been allowed to take Bowen's number. I'm sorry, but if I was Bruce Bowen, I mean, before I get into that, I mentioned the Monday warm weather finale. There should be a stipulation in the contract for every NBA team that had like not an NBA great, but a standalone team great. Play for them for a long time, win a couple championships with them, or not even if they didn't win championships, they played for them for a long time and had a huge impact on them to the point where once they retire, if they haven't retired the jersey for a long enough time, like the case with Rose, Bonner, and Mills, there should be a stipulation where if it has a chance to be retired, even if they don't think of it right away until way later, it should be a contract where when a new player comes to the team, a rookie, a free agent gets traded or signed to the team that carried that same all-time great number with another team or from college, it should be a stipulation like, hey, we know this was your number your whole career before you came to San Antonio, but I think it requires in the contract that you must change or pick a different number out of respect for these, all-time greats for teams alone. That way, if we want to retire the jersey number one day, we can get to that faster. That's what the stipulation in the contract. And if that was the case, whether it's the case or not, if I was Bowen, I would have told them, no, you can't have my number. Even though you did wear it in Portland, you wore 23 in college. Go with that, because you'll be known as a Spurs great with your own identity with your college number. But again, we can't have nice things because what the fuck? It's all about money and his backward ass business. So yeah, and I saw there's asinine post on Facebook a long time ago that Aldridge's number should be co-retired with Bowen. Absolutely fucking not. I mean, Aldridge didn't even fucking do shit, didn't win a championship, and he didn't have that same dog in him in San Antonio like he did in Portland. So, nice try, stupid asses. I'm sorry. But, if I was Bowen, I would have just told him, no, pick your college, if you're best, pick your college number, but I'm not Bowen, so I couldn't make that choice. But if you think that was bad, it's about to get even worse. So, we all know Keita Bates-Diop. Well, I was delighted to have him. He seemed like a good player, but it took me a while to remember that Malik Rose wore the 31, like way when I was a kid. And then when I finally realized this, I got so mad. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I just realized you took Malik Rose's number. From first Aldridge took Bowen's number, then I'll get to the other folks a little later. So then KBD takes Malik's number. It's like, don't these dumbasses who come to San Antonio, whether you're free agents, who would play in the NBA for a longer time with other teams, or rookies that sign onto the team for the first time you draft them, do they not know what, do they ever not know that there's better players who play for the team before them with that number? I mean, call me a whiner all you want, but this is just my opinion that, that's just disrespectful to, players to, put their heart and soul to the team, but that same number. I get KBD wore that number, several times, hopping around team and team, but he should have been forced to pick a favorite member then, but I didn't think too much about it then, because this during the last leg of the COVID season, going into the vaccination season, 2020, 2021, we started good and ended bad, and after a while, I was just so ready for that douchebag to be off the fucking team. That way, we could have a chance to put Malik in the rafters. So we finally got rid of him, and we had never had a number 31 for the longest time. It looked like we were headed that direction. Then what the fuck is this shit? Some nobody named Nathan Menzer comes in to Spurs training camp and takes Malik's number. It's like, dude, what in the fuck is going on? It's like, do these newcomers don't know how to leave these legendary team team numbers alone for these like all-time great players, for that, not NBA greats but team greats, for them to be cemented in history? That's just outright disrespectful. I mean, I just hope he has a horrible training camp out of spite. That way Spurs can waive him. We have a better chance of retiring Malik. So the Malik part is out of the way. Now we get to the Bonner part, because we'll get to Patty last. So I'll save Patty for last, since we've not had this issue yet, considering, especially because he's not retired yet. So, Matt Bonner. I did meet this guy in 2013, 2 days before my Jeremy Mayfield 19th birthday, when the Spurs played the Cavs here in Ohio, when I lived in Brook Park in the Sandhurst house as a senior at Berea High, when the fraud hit the game-winning three in the corner right in front of the Spurs bench, which is where me and my dad and my mom and sister were, and I got an early birthday present. You could see me both on the Spurs broadcast and the Cavs broadcast, jumping up and down for joy and nearly falling backwards into the seat because I got a little too fucking crazy with my celebration. And then I know Kyrie missed that, attempted desperation game winner, and I got to celebrate on the way out. Happy early 19th birthday to me and those Spurs fans. That way, some of those Spurs fans that were with us in that same section, like, happy birthday, young man. Yep, I said, yep, 2 more days, I'll be 19. And there was drunk Cavs fans, annoying the piss out of me, saying all my Spurs stuff. But guess what? It all blew up in their face when the Spurs won, and they just didn't say shit after that. They just walked out right before we had a chance to get up out of our seats and leave, because they were not happy. And I should have just flipped them the bird, saying, haha, we won. We have, well, at the time it would have been relevant, saying, we have 4 rings, but you guys have none. But they have one. Now we have 5 and they have 1. So, but that's neither here or there either. Yeah, so Bonner played on the team from the 2016-17 season, when the Raptors traded him to San Antonio for that failed David Robinson replacement, Rasho Nesterovic, and he was a huge impact on our team over the years too. It's like he never quit. Like, I know a lot of people were like ready to give him up, midway through the 2015-16 season, and that really pissed me off too, because of the fact that, Bonner has been with this team for so long. He's been loyal to us. He had a huge impact onto us, like Malik did all those years before him. And how Patty was at the time was in real time, like, quote unquote, like I say, like Malik all those years ago, and Patty now, which was at the time 2016. Bonner has had a huge impact on this team. Won 2 championships, nearly got a 3rd, and we got him in the 3-point contest 2013, even though he lost, almost lost it by a few. So why do you want to give up on him? Because damn well he ain't going anywhere. And then guess what? When it was confirmed he was staying, those people wanted him gone were pissed, which is why I wanted it. Of course I didn't want him gone, because he was with the team for so long, and he had a huge impact on the team as well, and meant a lot to us, which is why I always tell people, sports fans, my YouTube audience, my TikTok audience, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. What if he did leave, and then we ended up getting someone to replace him who was worse than him? So be unlucky that didn't happen. True Spurs fans back in those days, like me, would not have wanted him gone, whether he left or not. So, and then he retired the same summer as Timmy. So that kind of made me extra sad, because it's why we did a Live and La Vida Lab Rats episode of my fanfic during the season 2 summer series, where we had to change up the storyline, with my computer malfunctioning, with the screen not turning on when we turned the computer itself on. So we did a Spurs episode to address, Duncan and Bonner's retirement, and all the players from the 2015-16 season that left to other teams or had their own retirement. So it's a time I'll never forget. But the fact that after Bonner retired, and then it took until the 2019-2020 season, for someone to take his number, be the first domino effect to fall after Aldridge. In between Aldridge and KBD, Quindary Weatherspoon took his number, which really made me mad too. I kind of wasn't noticing it at first, but like I was with KBD the next year. But then I realized, that was Bonner's number. Like, what the fuck, Weatherspoon? Can you get the fuck off this team so we can put Bonner's number in the rafters? Well, we got rid of him, and he goes to win a championship with Golden State, which good for him, because he wouldn't make the biggest scab on Red Rocket's butt, and all that stuff. And Wieskamp came in after that and took his number. And we know damn well Wieskamp can't hold a candle to Bonner either, Red Rocket. No siree. So we finally got rid of him. And remember, we nearly signed Campaign from the Phoenix Suns in 2023 offseason. He was going to be the next Bonner imposter to take it. And I'm glad that didn't go through, because that way, we could have saved Bonner's number to retire. But then it looked like we were going to be in the clear. Right now we're in the clear, but the last person that really scared me to death with the whole Bonner thing was Jamari Bouye. I mean, I didn't even know who the fuck he was, when we played that regular season finale during the Samsung Radio Shack 500 at Texas Motor Speedway, when all the good players were hurt that were on this, rebuilding team, where Benyamba's version of this rebuilding team. And I saw the 15, and I was like, what the fuck? Does Brian Wright and Pop in the front office not learn their goddamn lesson? Who in the fuck is Jamari Bouye? And so when I saw they got rid of him, I'm like, pack watch, because guess what? He can't even carry the Red Rocket jock strap either. And then on the icing on top of that, guess what? We finally got rid of those Malik and Bonner imposters. The first three Bonner. Well, hopefully the only three Bonner imposters. We got rid of that first Malik imposter. We got rid of the lone Bowen imposter. But now we got the second Malik imposter. Nathan fucking Menza. No. I already covered him. I'm sorry. Wait.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, I was backtracking there for a moment. I apologize for that. So, therefore, hey, before I just do the thing with Patty, before someone takes his number, all I can say to Brian Wright in the pop in the front office is, stop letting all these nobodies, even if they've played in the NBA for a good chunk of years, stop letting them come in and take all these all-time greats number. Don't ever give well, obviously Bowen's number is not going to be used again, because that was just, Aldrin carried over the 12 from Portland, but throw that out the window. Stop giving these idiots, these no-name, whoever the fuck these dumbasses are, these imposters are, Malik's number. Stop. You shouldn't have given it to Keita. You shouldn't have given it to, Nathan. Hopefully Nathan ends up failing in summer camp so we can get rid of his ass. We can blow. If Pop and Brian Wright in the front office, if Brian Wright and Pop in the front office, were smart enough to get their heads out of their asses, the right thing they would do is, right now, first start off with disallow the 15, the 8, and the 31 from ever being used again. That way, one day, if it's disallowed long enough, Bonner, Rose, and Mills can go up in the rafters where they belong. And before I go on to Patty, I'm just going to say this right now. To those saying, oh, but that's never going to happen, because guess what? The day Bonner, or at this, God forbid, Rose and Mills get their jersey retired in San Antonio, the NBA is going to shut down. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, doubters, because, never underestimate anyone or anything. 2, never say never. 3, never thinking stuff can never happen, because guess what? Sure as hell can, because guess what? If people like Nick Collison could get his jersey retired in Seattle OKC, then guess what? So can Matt Bonner, Malik Rose, and Patty Mills in San Antonio. And before I go on to address the Patty thing with the number 8, I'm just going to say right now to those who say, but there's a difference between the Thunder and the Spurs. Yeah, I know. No shit, Sherlock, there is. And there's only one difference, and one difference only. That's the correct difference. Matt Bonner, Malik Rose, Patty Mills, like I mentioned earlier in this rant video, all contributed to championship-winning teams over the years. 1997 through 2014, well, Collison didn't do that shit. So that's a big difference right there. Your end of story. So if you contributed to a championship-winning team, you should be more worthy of getting a jersey hung up in the rafters, even if you're not an NBA great or an NBA Hall of Famer. If you had an impact to one team for that long in your career, you deserve to have your jersey retired. Sure, Collison had deserved his too. I get that, but he's kind of deserving and not deserving at the same time. Deserving because guess what? He played in Seattle OKC for so long without leaving. He was loyal to them, so I can understand that. But at the same time, he kind of wasn't deserving in terms of not winning a championship compared to Rose, Bonner, and Mills. So that's where I come from. So now Patty Mills, the Tasmanian Devil. So that man, was like one of all these different Spurs players over the years, even ones that were not all-time greats, including the guy that had his number before him. Not Rasho Nesterovic, who when he played on Minnesota, but Steve Smith. Steve Smith was in Portland before San Antonio, and another number 8 was in Portland before San Antonio. Patty Mills, except while Steve Smith won the 2003 championship, he was not the same Steve Smith in his heyday in Atlanta or Portland. No, he was already getting towards the end of his career, so therefore, sadly, he doesn't count as much as I like the guy. But, Mills, had a bigger role on those, modern-day Spurs teams than Steve Smith did, in the early 2000s. Mills had a bigger impact in the early 2010s teams than Smitty did in the early 2000s teams. So, therefore, yeah, he came from Portland to San Antonio, but I don't think he played in the playoffs in 2012. I don't think he was on the playoff roster. 2013 playoffs, he barely played, except for garbage time minutes in the finals when we were blowing out the Heat or the Heat were blowing us out. And, all those games that were blowouts in that series. But then 2014, he had a bigger role, and he busted his shoulder. No pun intended. Well, he busted his ass, but you know what I mean. He busted his ass so hard to get that championship, to have a huge contribution to that championship, that he busted his shoulder in the process. Had to get off-season surgery. If y'all remember that, he missed the good chunk of the first part of the season until after Christmas. After the Christmas game against the Thunder, when we had the first name jerseys, where instead of the last name, instead of the last name, it was the first name, and the first name is at the bottom as opposed to the last name being at the top. So, yeah, he was really, really rusty. Really rusty for quite a bit. That rest of the 2014-15 season and a good chunk of the 15-16 season, but he got better by 16-17, and he was playing I'm entering well that Parker could have played at 18-19 alone, 17-18, 18-19, 19-20. And was he on the team in 2021? The 2020-2021 season? I believe he was. I think he left midway through. He left midway through, I believe. I can't remember anymore, but sometime in 2021-ish, he did leave the Spurs to go to play with with the Nets. So, therefore, yeah. So it's just the last time a versatile Spurs point guard left San Antonio to go play elsewhere, the last 2 times they got their jersey retired. I mean, Avery Johnson left in 2001 to go play elsewhere until he retired in 2004, I believe it was. Tony Parker left to play 1 year elsewhere until he retired that immediately after that. And Patty Mills went to go play with a bunch of other teams like Avery did. And now, so that being said, by that, based on that logic and pattern, Patty should have his number 8 hung in the rafters where it belongs. So far, nobody has taken it. Nobody has taken it at all. And I'm literally going to scream if someone comes in and takes it, because I'm going to be so angry. I was angry with Aldridge taking Bowen's number. I was angry with KBD and taking Malik's number. And just like I'm angry now with Mensah, whoever the fuck this dude is, taking his number 2. And of course, I was also upset when Wieskamp and Weatherspoon and Bouye took Bonner's number. None of that shit should have been allowed. And if someone who wore number 8, with their previous teams or in college or whatever, then that should be a no-no. They should pick a different number and leave it at that, because that's Patty's number and Patty's number only. 15 is always going to be Bonner's number only, and 31 is going to be Rose's number only, period. I mean, Nick Van Exel wore 31, but Malik Rose was retired at the time, so I'll give Van Exel a free pass for that, because he was still playing for the Knicks as we dealt him away there for Nazim Mohammed the season before, midway through the season. But anyway, thanks for coming to my little rant video, Spurs rant heavy video tonight. But you'll know a nuclear rant when you see it if something goes really, really wrong. So I bet you we're going to have a few of those this Spurs season. Because my mom's working to buy me the league pass this year. And I overheard her conversation on her FaceTime with my sister about my dad working a league pass. And then my mom getting all the sports she wants with, the sports she wants to watch. And then we have to get Amazon Prime for NASCAR next season. So it's all coming together for our sports. NASCAR, NBA for me. Whatever my mom watches, with football, the Browns, or whatever. I don't know if she watches too much MLB, but it's going to be fun. So, therefore, the next video will be the warm weather, day 2 the finale of 2024, day 2 tomorrow, which, like I said, that was supposed to happen last night, but I fell asleep, and tomorrow was going to be the fall randomness video, but fall randomness will be scheduled to the next, very nice day after tomorrow, because Friday's going to be nice, but it's a 50-50 chance we're going to go to the Ridgeville football game with Ricky B. So, therefore, because Ricky B had a personal matter to attend to this past week and a half, so therefore Friday afternoon he's taking care of all that business. I really not sharing for his sake what it is, but we're gonna text him at 4 on Friday to see the final verdict, and we're gonna try to pre-record the pregame show, the countdown to kickoff for the broadcast. That way we're not in hurry up mode or something. I mean, sometimes hurry up mode is good. So if we put off pre-recording the pregame show, then we'll just make a quick hurry-up version or something like that. Probably tomorrow after, before we edit and upload the Warm Weather 2024 finale video. So the next really nice day, which is would be upper 60s, at least lower 70s maximum. Then we'll do the fall randomness, and the next, nice day in that same territory temperature-wise after that will be a neighborhood fun Tear It Up like Terry Labonte episode. And it's a slim 50-50 chance that a fall episode of Warzone, real life Warzone, is going to happen. So only time will tell, because, Winter Wonderland Season 4 is around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. Winter as a whole is around the corner. The cooking videos are around the corner. So be ready, because it's shaping up to be one hell of an escapade. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. I will see you all for the next video tomorrow when we finish what we started on Monday. The Warm Weather 2024 finale, day 2 of 2. See you later, everyone. Go Spurs, go.
Yo, who say you gotta be a big man to compete in the NBA? Not us, Shorty. That's right. Allen and Jerome. That's us. We gonna creep on in.
Creeping like a creeper.
And drop some Stephon Marbury inner city funk. I'd love to see the face of the fool trying to D my slamming moves to the hole. Yo, David, you may be bigger than me, but you need to get yourself some Coppertone lotion. Why that, baby? Cause you just got burned.
This copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.